Hey guys, Ryan here for TMR Tours. We are here at Crescent Lake by the Yacht and Beach Club across from the boardwalk. We are actually going to talk about an abandoned project by Disney from 1986, Disney Mountain. Now you've probably never heard of it. It's something that was brought to my attention by Walt Disney World News blog site and YouTube channel. It was actually an abandoned project from Disney in 1986. Whoa! So long ago. So yeah, in 1986, this whole complex didn't exist, and they actually had other plans for this area that we're going to talk about. All kinds of fun stuff, from a centralized tower that would feature a space exhibit, because as you know, Walt Disney loved the idea of space travel and just exploring the universe. So it was going to centralize around a space thing. It was going to have 7 different themed villages. That's right, 7. Kind of awesome, kind of crazy. Now at that time, there was only a handful of hotels. I think there was 3 to be exact. You had the Contemporary, you had the Polynesian, and you had the Wilderness campsite. Not even the Wilderness Lodge yet, just the campsite. So they were going to go from 3 hotels to over 20 in this complex alone. So they were planning on over 15 hotels in this complex, all including up to, I think, 6,000 rooms. 6,000 rooms. That's crazy, guys. That's a ton of space. Now there was going to be 5 stories of different shopping centers and activities, attractions, over 100 themed attractions. Now that does include restaurants, but again, that's like rides, restaurants, and venues as far as merchandising. Now the cool thing, one of these levels was actually going to be an interior parking garage. So inside the mountain, there was going to be a parking structure. Now the cool thing about this parking structure, it was actually going to have a automated system to let you know when the lots were full, which, guys, if you know anything, it took almost 30 years to implement that at Disney Springs. Crazy. Continuing on with this insane laundry list of Disney Mountain. Now another thing they were going to incorporate was a 4,000 seat amphitheater. Now that was going to actually be right outside the gates of the Hollywood tour. So right when you walk straight out, it would go to the Hollywood Amphitheater. Now around that was going to be one of the themed villages, which was the Hollywood Hills. It was going to be a Hollywood Tower Hotel. That's right, you heard it. Basically, the Tower of Terror was gonna be a hotel that surrounded this amphitheater. So if you stayed in the hotel, you could watch whatever band, group, show was played in the amphitheater. Now again, this all never happened, but we did get a 4,000 seat amphitheater in the form of Fantasmic, which is connected to Hollywood Studios. So again, all of these ideas slightly came to fruition, just not exactly in the mindset of Disney Mountain. So that was one, 4,000 seat amphitheater. Another thing they wanted was convention space. They didn't have a ton of convention space at that time, so they wanted to add more. Now, as you know, Yacht and Beach, the boardwalk, there's tons of convention space now here at Disney. So the thing they added was more convention space because they know they needed it, needed to bring in those business dollars and get some higher class clientele. So guys, hearing all these facts about Disney Mountain, you might think to yourself, it sounds a lot like Epcot and Progress City. Well, that idea did keep coming back to the Imagineers, because unfortunately Epcot was made, but it wasn't Walt's full dream of having a fully independent kind of community upon itself. So expanding upon the idea of Epcot and Progress City, the Imagineers really wanted to complete Walt's dream of having a centralized community where everything could be independent. You could go shopping, you could appreciate good restaurants, and you could also ride the best attractions in the world. And again, one of the things in this was a centralized lagoon. So all of this was a great complex that you could basically stay in this one area and enjoy all of these services, including all the centralized services for the backstage maintenance. So much like Epcot's original plan, it would house centralized services and maintenance for all of Walt Disney World. Now that's a big deal. So to have one centralized location so you can do maintenance for the entire premises is a huge idea, guys, because it's a big space, a lot of land here at Walt Disney World. Now, talking about that centralized lagoon, it was a freshwater lagoon. It's basically the idea of having one of the nice pools like they have nowadays. But at that time, 1986, Typhoon Lagoon wasn't a thing. None of the water parks were a thing, except for River Country. But Typhoon Lagoon might have come from this idea of Disney Mountain. So guys, another fun idea about this Disney Mountain was that you're actually going to outsource some of the hotels. Now if you know anything about Disney, they like to keep everything controlled. But at the time, like I said, they only had like 3 resorts, so they didn't think they could take on the task of having 10 to 15 hotels added. So they said, why don't we outsource and have someone else run them? Now of course, we know those today as the Swan and Dolphin. They are not owned by Disney, they are outsourced, and they run independently from the Walt Disney World Company, but they are on the premises and part of Disney World. So guys, as I said earlier, there was going to be 100 attractions within 7 themed villages. Now what those 7 villages were Mystic East, which we haven't really seen anywhere in Disney other than kind of an Animal Kingdom with Asia. Another one was Neon Caverns. Again, it was like a mystical light up neon cavern, which we haven't seen, but soon we might see some ideas in Avatar and Pandora. So that's kind of cool. Another one of those lands is the Hollywood Hills, which I did briefly mention. It's right outside the Hollywood Tour. It was going to feature the Hollywood Tower Hotel as an actual hotel. Kind of neat. Another one of those was the Tropical Romance, which was kind of like it states. It was like a Cabana, Bahamas tropical romance location. And today we kind of know that as Caribbean Beach. Again, going down the line, all of these ideas kind of came about. They just spread them out instead of putting them in one location. Hilltown was another one of those locations. Now Hilltown never came to fruition here. You could say that maybe like Old Key West and Port Orleans are based off of that, but it more exclusively went to like Westcott at Disney's California Adventure around that mini world showcase there. They kind of came up with pavilions and different places to stay in the different lands of Hilltown there. Now the last 2 lands, guys, these are fun ones. The Fantastic Journeys, that was going to be the centralized tower in Disney Mountain that had the space travel exhibit, whatever it was going to be. We don't even know. It may be an observatory, a ride, who knows what it was going to be. And then the last one, I had to leave this to last because the last area was the boardwalk. That probably is the only one that literally came to fruition. And again, some of these ideas almost took 20 to 30 years to fully expand upon the original idea of Disney Mountain. So another fun fact about Disney Mountain is right here at Epcot's International Gateway. You can't really see it, but over this bridge, there is a road down there. So when these boats go under this bridge, technically under that bridge, under that boat rather, there is a road that goes right under. And the fun part about it is actually this was in the original plans for Disney Mountain. There was going to be an aqua bridge with a road going under it. So all of this is original to Disney Mountain. So guys, we are at the back corner of the beach club. That road that you just saw is that access road that goes down and under the water. Now it is very well hidden because that's what Disney does. They hide things. So that road goes down under the water over there by International Gateway. Kind of crazy. So we just came from here, guys. We can walk all the way up this path, all the way up that path. Then there's another path to go down. But over there is the International Gateway. And of course that road goes this way along and under the waterway. Multiple aqua bridges across the property now, but something they thought of in 1986. So guys, I hope you enjoyed all these facts about Disney Mountain. It's kind of crazy that it didn't fully come to fruition. There were some problems with it, I will say. That wasn't as perfect as it may have seemed, but that's probably why it didn't come fully to be. Financially, it would have been very hard. Logistically, very hard. And just traffic control, all of that. It would have been very hard to actually implement all of these ideas into one location. So they did go with more of a linear model, spreading stuff out all across the property because of course they had all of this land to utilize, and why cram everything into one spot when you do have all this land? Now, coming back to the idea of nighttime activity. We know today there is a ton to do at night at Walt Disney World, but at the time, Magic Kingdom, Epcot, once they closed, there was not much to do. Now in 1977, they did have the Disney Marketplace, but again, they wanted to increase that because it wasn't as successful as they wanted it to be. So yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed all these crazy facts. Like I said, 1986 is when it was planned. We're going now into 2017. If you look at this, you have 1986 going into 1988, you have Grand Floridian, Caribbean Beach, going into Typhoon Lagoon in 89, MGM Studios opening, originally just the Hollywood tour, the studio tour, but eventually MGM booked together and they made a whole theme park, MGM Studios. Swan and Dolphin both in 1990, expanding like Yacht and Beach into the 1990s as well. 91 is Port Orleans and Old Key West. You have All-Star Music and Sports in like early 90s, 94, Blizzard Beach in 95. Disney Mountain, a crazy great idea that was abandoned because unfortunately it was just such a fantastical idea that not even Disney could accomplish it. So if you like this info, if you want more info, more details, check out Walt Disney World News, WDW News. It's a great channel on YouTube. They have a full 2-hour talk about the full breakdown of the synopsis. Little links should be popping up. And again, if you liked our video, like it, subscribe to our channel, and again, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We'll see you next time on TMR Tours.